Day 4 for the Dakar 2009. We turn north and into the heat. And what can the reigning champion do? Cyril Dupre, he has had 3 days of bad luck. Can he shake it off? And on 4 wheels, the battle of this year's Dakar is turning into a head-to-head between Volkswagen and BMW. Looking back at stage 3 yesterday, views of the start line. No holiday though, on the outskirts of Puerto Madryn, a popular tourist stop for many of the locals. And unbelievably, the city has strong Welsh connections. It was founded in July 1865 when 150 Welsh immigrants arrived by boat. Bizarrely, the architecture is very similar to some places in Wales, nearly 6,000 miles away. But that was the last thing on anybody's mind once the stage got underway, and in true Dakar style, it was dust, dust and dust. Belgian Alain Laplace filling his bowler with even more dust, the boot wide open. Some say that the quads have the hardest job of any of the competitors on the Dakar. Haven't got the sheer speed of a bike, but you've got all the problems of getting those wheels either punctured or stuck in a hole. Now then, what about this rider, the Czech Ivo Kastan on his 125cc Honda? He's outpowered by every single other vehicle on the entire event, and yet he clinches on as hard as he can to try and get to the finish. He deserves a medal if he gets there. My goodness me, does he deserve a medal for even getting here into the 4th stage? The wide open spaces tempt sheer speed from the trucks. They may be limited to only 150 kilometers an hour top speed, but even then they can run into problems. Here we have the Dutch crew of Jacques Bleckenberg and Eddie Beektink in their Mercedes. They've had some problems and the hood is up and they're hard at work. Thumbs up, everything pretty well okay. They're safe and sound. The view's tempting many of the competitors to look out of the window, but that's the last thing that they can do. The Dakar organisers being very strict about how the course is run for the competitors, not allowed to stray off the straight and narrow too far at least. Now here's the Lithuanian, Cyrinos Palikos. He's fallen off his Yamaha and he's in trouble with his left arm. And as the rest of the bikes come steaming past, it's all over. Medical crew saying he's got no serious injuries, he's okay. But he's soon in one of the medical trucks and his dream is over. For another year at least. Here's the Slovakian Ivan Jakes. He's come to a grinding halt, his KTM in some sort of a trouble. And one of the quads very kindly asking if he needs any help. Quick conversation. Everything's okay, but soon there are some locals on hand to help the Slovakian.
Can we help you? No? Oh. Don't worry.
Massive amount of effort that has gone into all of the competitors here on this year's event. And it's all come to a grinding halt. But still, the quads go on. Very healthy entry this year, 25 quads. And as always, Dakar specialist Thierry Magnaldi in his buggy. He's 22nd overall. After stage 3 yesterday, nearly 25% of the distance is already done. But we've come a long way since Buenos Aires. Today's stage 4 from Giaco Bacci up towards Neuquén, a short road section before the special stage of 459 kilometres, and then in to Neuquén itself. It's getting warmer. Fifth longest stage for the competitors on the Argentina-Chile Dakar for 2009. And as always, it was a very early start, but that didn't stop Argentina's hardest of motorsport spectators being out and getting, my goodness me, what a grandstand view you have of the stage start there. After a 25-kilometre road section, it was then away. 182 bikes started the stage today. And a quick mention for David Schwartz, the Australian, 24th today, 18th overall, the man from down in South Australia. 10th today from Spain, Gerard Fares, the Quasi Works KTM. He ran with Moose in the rear tyre. He's 32nd overall. What about Frans Verhoeven, the man who won the second stage? Amazingly, he's a former plasterer. There's lots of dust, but there's no water for Frans on the Dakar this year. Overshooting on one of the corners. He was second on the Faroes Rally in Egypt last year, but he was 9th today. He has leapt from 17th yesterday to 9th overall today. Were it not for speeding, where he got a 38-minute penalty the other day, he could be 5th overall. Now here's another Dutchman, Henk Knoijman. He was 11th on his last Dakar in 2007, but he wants to beat his best finishing position, which was 8th. His father was the first ever Dutchman to finish in the Dakar Rally, and at the moment, he's 6th overall. He is the Flying Dutchman. After a disastrous first day, David Castello is getting into his rhythm. Top amateur and 13th overall 3 years ago. He was 7th on today's stage, but he's still only 12th overall, 1 hour and 38 minutes back. But look how he tackled the stage. Fantastic riding, sheer skill, chucking the big KTM around as if it was just a little two-stroke 125. Jordi Villadoms, another flying serviceman for Mark Comer, should the overall leader need his help. 6th on the stage today. Now Villadoms, like Comer, has been running with an inner tube in the rear tyre, and that has given him no problems at all. The views in this part of the world, stunning. The wild horses running as the dry lake beds give us some amazing views. Down in refuelling. Now this is a 15-minute neutralised area where the time is taken of each rider when they arrive, and then exactly 15 minutes later they are released from the refuelling area and the time for their stage continues. What that does is to stop people rushing around with fuel and hot engines, and there could be flames. 5th today for the former 450cc Rally Raid World Champion, Lopez. He's accustomed to the heat. He knows this part of the world. The Chilean rider doing well. David Fretinier, the man from France, 4th on the stage today. That's not bad considering he's got a little 450cc engine. What about Jonas Street, 3rd on the stage today, just 3 seconds off second position, but he's 2nd overall. He's a privateer. He's making his own street to the finish. The man from Washington State with the Rally Pan Am squad is doing a superb job. The man who was 2nd on today's stage is Cyril Dupre, and after the disaster of the last 3 days when he lost 40 minutes on the first day, he broke a shocker on the second day, and then he had the troublesome Moose in the rear tyre yesterday. He had a good run, but because he started 48th off the start line, because that's the position in which he finished yesterday, he had to cut through all of the other riders. And at that point in starting proceedings, the riders are going off the line 2 every 30 seconds. So he had to pass probably 40 riders today. He ran a tube, not Moose, and it meant that Dupre had a good run. Dupre chasing Mark Comer. Mark Comer, the winner of the stage. He has now won 3 of the first 4 stages on this year's event. The quiet Catalan found his way across the tortuous route. Look how bumpy it is. And he won the stage by just over a minute, but he leads overall by nearly 43 minutes. So Comer being victorious on the stage, just over 1 1/4 minutes ahead of Cyril Desprez. Jonas Street just another 3 seconds back today. Comer making time to open the gate. Near one of the biggest reservoirs in this part of the world. That was the stage finish today, and no matter how remote the stage finish may be, there are always the spectators out. Christophe de Klerk on his Yamaha continues to lead the quad class. He's 31 minutes ahead of Juan Manuel Gonzalez. Mark Comer victorious today ahead of Desprez, who had to cut through all of those riders ahead of him. Jonas Street third, Fretenier on the 450 in 4th, and Lopez in 5th. Overall, it's Comer from Street, from Fretenier via Doms, and Palanders Olivacetta. No problems today. I really enjoyed it, and for the past 2 days I've had a sort of a pit in my stomach, making it almost hard to breathe, but today I could push.
Today
was really fun. Say everything before the first gas stop was some of the funnest stuff I've ever raced across. Just beautiful, twisty, just going back and forth. And a lot of fun today. A lot of fun today. Beautiful country too.
I was pushing, but I was in the dust of Olivacetta for about 20 kilometers. The wind was good to me though, and then I was about to pass Olivacetta, but he suddenly changed direction. I was in this massive dust cloud, and then there was a 90-degree corner. I went straight over a bush, jumped it, and landed in some grass. I managed to slow down just without falling, but it was close. The BMW X-Ray team from Germany is one of the big 3 in Rally Raid. They won the World Cup in 2008 with Nasser Al-Attiyah, and now offer the chance for privateers to compete, if you have a big enough wallet. This year, they're running more cars than ever. It is still a big challenge for us to run 6 cars on this year's Dakar. We support them with 8 service trucks, 2 race trucks, and 7 service cars. That is quite a lot to manage every day, to make sure everything is operational at the right place and at the right time. The team consists of almost 80 people and is therefore the second biggest on this year's Dakar. The majority are working on the service trucks that are small, or rather large, technical miracles. In this truck, we can see we've got the shock absorbers, we've got the computer where we can analyze all of the technical data to ensure that everything is okay with the car. Over here, we can work on the diff, and here is a mounting device where we can mount the gearbox before we work on it. The trucks have changed a lot in the last few years, but for every car there is a truck like this one, with spare parts stored. You can almost rebuild a whole car from scratch, except for the chassis and a complete engine. As soon as the stage is over, what we do is a little checklist in the car of things that didn't go well during the stage, like unusual noises. We really check everything, as there are plenty of little things that need checking and maintenance work by the time we finish. The whole car gets examined completely every night, and they add our list to their normal workload. Every car gets a minimum of 5 hours work from the 5 mechanics assigned to each car. double stage winner and second at the moment on this year's event, Nasser Al-Attiyah, gives us some examples.
We don't take any risk, you know, with the parts, and small parts like ball joints we change every day, but the proper shaft, the dry shaft, we try change every 3-4 days, you know, because it's like mileage.
Without the army of mechanics, teams would be nowhere. "160 cars started this morning, but the main battle was at the head of the field between Carlos Sainz and Nasser Al-Attiyah. Al-Attiyah started first on the road today after being victorious yesterday. Carlos Sainz started 2 minutes behind him. Tina Turner co-driving for the Qatari. Michel Perrin co-driving for the two-time World Rally Champion Carlos Sainz. But as you can see here, they came across a dry river and it was difficult to get across. Carlos Sainz taking the plunge going down first and then deciding the better of it and then deciding that it was going to be the right way through. So here and now on the stage, Al-Attiyah has lost 2 minutes to Sainz. Eventually they found their way through the difficult dry river crossings. The co-drivers continuing to work hard. The results of today's titanic battle: Sainz won the stage, but he only gained 6 seconds on Nasser Al-Attiyah. Overall, Sainz leads by 3 minutes and 46 seconds ahead of Al-Attiyah. This is going to be the story of this year's Dakar. BMW versus Volkswagen, Qatar versus Spain, Al-Attiyah versus Sainz. Luc Alphon was third on today's stage, but he was the first Mitsubishi to cross the finish line. The former downhill World Cup skier and current Le Mans 24-hour driver is 8th overall. He was lucky after yesterday's altercation with a leaking fuel tank. He only discovered that the fuel tank was leaking when he stopped to fix a puncture and he saw that all of the fuel was pouring out of the car. For American Mark Miller, this is just his kind of territory. It is just like the Baja 1000. He was 4th on today's stage, 4 minutes behind his teammate Carlos Sainz come the finish line. Currently, there are 3 Volkswagens inside the top 6 at present. Nani Roma, 5th overall, exactly 20 minutes behind fellow Spaniard Carlos Sainz. Roma punctured 2 today. And as we can see from this helicopter shot, just clipping one of the poor amateur bikers, who I'm sure had some colourful language. Janil de Villiers got a bit lost after the dry riverbed crossing today. He got lost in the dust of the bikes. He got caught behind some bikes yesterday. He said that the stones that were being thrown up from the rear of one of the bikes was actually hitting the windscreen and really putting him off. He was lucky that he didn't smash the windscreen whilst following a bike yesterday. Can you imagine what it's like when one of these cars come past you and you're on a bike? Unbelievable. Now here is Argentine Orlando Terranova at the first control point. Terranova was almost leading today, but he ran into some slight problems and he finished 7th on the stage. He's also 7th overall and the leading Argentine driver. No time to look at the views here in the heat of the summer of Argentina. Stefan Pederhansel punctured today. He got also caught in the dust of some of the bikes and came across the line 8th. 4th overall is Pederhansel. He's the leading Mitsubishi and the 6-time Dakar winner on 2 wheels and 3 times in a car. He's playing his cards very close to his chest. He's 15 minutes back overall. That, in Dakar terms, is nothing. Mitsubishi may well be down to just 3 cars after they started with 4 after the loss of Hiroshi Mashioka's Mitsubishi Racing Lancer due to engine problems on the very first stage, but Peter Hansel and all around him keeping a cool head. Stunning scenes on today's Dakar, but no time for American Robbie Gordon to have a look. Gordon rolled his Hummer twice, but it landed rubber side down, and he was lucky enough to get away with it and come across the finish line today in 10th position with his 7-litre engine in the back of the Hummer. This is one hell of a piece of engineering. Robbie Gordon, winner of the Baja 1000 on both sides of the car, co-driver and driver. He's 9th overall. Now here is Peter van Merkstein, 12th overall is the Dutchman on his very first Dakar rally. And for Van Merkstein, another variation in his driving. He won LMP2 class at Le Mans this year in a Porsche Spider prototype back in 2008. On board with Christian Lavallée, he's currently 14th overall, and this gives you some idea of the concentration needed when the helicopters are getting low, when you get a little blind to the bumps in the road, and you've got to keep it cool. Other news today, Belgian Stefan Orard, he's out, and so too is former 500cc Grand Prix motorcycle rider Takuma Aoki. Today's stage being won by Carlos Sainz from Alatia, just 6 seconds between them. Alphon, Miller and Roma next up. But overall, it's Sainz who holds that 3-minute 46-second lead over Alatia, De Villiers, Peter Hansel and Roma. Sainz saying we started very fast, and then we caught Nasser. He knew we were on his tail. We attacked more and more, both of us really in the groove. I passed him off the route, but then I started to lose air in one of the tires. It was a slow puncture. Right until the end of the stage, I was losing air out of it, and I arrived with maybe only half a kilo of pressure. We won it with 6 seconds in hand, but it was a hard fight today with Alatia. Sainz lucky with that slow puncture today.
80 kilometers, I think, 100. He was past me in the river, in the big hole. But after, you know, I stay behind him until when we take right side. But I think he stopped a little bit. He doesn't know maybe the cap. Just I pass him, and after we find the road and we go through to finish.
Alphonse saying we had to overtake an enormous amount of cars, so I want to thank those other drivers. But everything went well. I'm happy because we didn't have any problems at last. 78 trucks started this stage 4 today. Hans Stacey, the reigning champion from the 2007 Dakar, he had some problems today. He had a puncture with the front left, and he lost some precious time. Now, changing a tyre on one of these machines really is a big team job. Now, there are 3 men in each truck, and it takes 3 men to get a tyre off the rim and then back on. His teammate comes past, but they give him the thumbs up. Now here is Gerard de Roy preparing at the start of the stage. Overnight, coming into today's stage, de Roy was leading the truck section, 7 minutes 46 seconds ahead of Kabirov, Third overall was Chagin, the winner of yesterday's stage, and fourth was Maldives. But on today's stage, it was De Roy who was victorious by 46 seconds ahead of Chagin and nearly 5 minutes ahead of Kabirov's Kamaz. So now in the overall standings, De Roy leads overall, just over 10 minutes ahead of Chagin. He's extended his lead now by sort of 2.5 minutes or so. Kabirov third, Maldives in fourth position. But what about this for a bit of a moment? Going into the soft sand off-piste, these guys have got some work. Tomorrow's stage, stage 5, up towards San Rafael. A stage of 506 kilometers. We're into the dunes tomorrow. We're going back further north. It's going to be hotter, and it's sure to be tougher.